Hello and welcome to the Crystal Men. I'm Jim.
And I'm Tom.
And we have a special guest today, NeverPaint. NeverPaint, would you like to introduce yourself?
I don't know who you mean. I'm Bismuth, Crystal
shit.
Gem Warrior. Hi. Yeah, you can look at my Bismuth drawing as soon as this episode comes out. I'm gonna repost it on my Twitter at NeverPaint. You can also look at my art there. And I'm here to talk about a very special episode.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
very excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm all nervous and excited because I'm super excited about this episode. But yeah, definitely check out NeverPaint's art. I'm a huge fan. It's super great,
it's super
and
good.
Yeah, Bismuth looks great. I will also include his Gemsona in this in like the YouTube version of this episode, as well as I forgot to do it in the past. Tom and my Gemsonas. So now you'll see Jade on screen, which is Tom's, and mine, which is Gray Anatasa, or Anatase.
I'm totally looking at the
Dutch
pictures at the same time.
Google and see how it's pronounced.
That would have been a good idea.
It'll be
all right. So, yeah, we're talking about Giant Woman today.
Yes, and what an episode! I mean, watching it again still stands out as one particularly great episode.
Yeah, I was just blown away by how much I was smiling during it. Like, I was just so happy watching this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I love I love the music, especially when everything's happening. But like, just the whole episode was just pleasant, and I mean, God, the backgrounds this whole episode were just gorgeous.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, like, the art was just amazing to watch.
Yeah, that entire like mountain, like the Heaven Beetles temple, is just so cool, and I just want to live there. It just looks incredible.
Yeah,
you're gonna fall and die. But yeah, I've recently started rewatching Steven Universe with my roommate, who hasn't seen it yet, and it was my goal for the first night of Watch Steven Universe to at least get to Giant Woman, so that he guaranteed will be hyped about the show, and it worked.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, this is definitely that episode early on that hooks people in, because it just it opens up so much, and B, it's just a good episode. Like, I mean, fusions as a concept I always loved, so I remember watching this, I'm like, I want to see all of them now.
It's funny because like I think a lot of people rightly noted that this is, I don't want to say like it's a reference to Dragon Ball, but it feels kind of very similar to Fusion and Dragon Ball.
Sure. Yeah.
But in that, they hardly did anything fun with Fusion. But in Steven Universe, like, I remember when this episode came out, just like the idea that any gems can fuse. Even at the end of the episode, Garnet says like, "Oh, Steven, yeah, you can fuse too."
Yeah.
And it's like, it really just puts so much, like, it gets your imagination working. You're just like, oh, what would Garnet and Amethyst look like fused?
Absolutely. And like, that brings up a good point. I mean, obviously it does get compared to Dragon Ball Z because that's what a lot of people saw first with Fusion. But Dragon Ball Z only ever does it for fighting's sake. Like, I mean, I like right off the bat, Steven kind of acts as the audience and is asking some actual questions about Fusion. Like, do you guys share stomach? Is it one body? Is it two bodies? Like, you know, he's asking exactly the kind of stuff I would have been thinking about. And I mean, obviously we learn throughout the series that they play around with Fusion a ton, but like, even this episode, you get a good glimpse into what it means for the individual characters versus like, oh, we just need to become a stronger fighter, you know?
Yeah. It's just done super well. Like,
yeah.
I like how you see them kind of fail at it at first, and we're seeing like how it works, and then like once we actually get the Opal reveal, we don't even get to see them do it again. Like, I just think that's a really great way to reveal the character. I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but I think that this is just like a fun discussion, because Fusion is like the coolest thing in Steven Universe.
Yeah, my favorite quote from this episode was, "We only fuse if it's absolutely necessary." Oh, Garnet is back.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
A lot of these little teasers of the Garnet fusion, and that's great.
Yeah, I do
Garnet
love
is very
that.
apt in this episode. She's like diving in lava or something.
Yeah, she makes a comment that she's the only one that can swim in lava, which made me like I almost Google searched like, does Garnet have like a really high heat resistance point or
No,
Well,
something?
I
no.
just kind of
But
assumed it's because she has Ruby.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
oh yeah,
So,
Um,
maybe she's just
fire.
fire immune. But I like, too, how they... It was a kind of a good thing having Garnet be mainly absent from this episode, because if she was there, I feel like it would be a little hard to keep
it would have
her...
given away the goat too
Yeah,
early.
exactly. I mean, either you have her react and like fans are able to predict it like super super easily, or you have her not react at all to them talking about fusion, and then it seems weird and out of character.
Mm-hmm. And what's cool about her reaction too is how nonchalantly she treats it at the end too, which I really like, and it really makes it feel like it doesn't feel out of character. Like it doesn't feel like she's hiding anything.
No, yeah, because for
Fusion
her
is
it's every
just
day. Like
exactly, yeah.
it's every day, bro.
So I guess we can just kind of jump into like the actual recap portion. It's pretty. I mean, like as I said, it's pretty straightforward. Most of the episode, just like to me, it felt like it just was like gliding by like effortlessly.
Oh yeah, I mean, they did a great job of just immediately setting it up with Stephen, Amethyst, and Pearl playing the checkers game, just to initially kind of get that hostility between the two characters.
Mm-hmm. And this is just like classic early Steven. Like he's just kind of hanging around doing bullshit, like throwing water balloons at them when they move. Not even if they get like a piece loss, if they just move.
And then, like they both went along with it too.
Yeah, it's just nice.
Yeah, just
I love them.
Stephen
it was
doesn't
always
really.
these moments. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Stephen doesn't really do a lot throughout this episode. He's just kind of hanging around and complaining or like asking them to fuse the whole time, and then gets eaten, and then he's very excited about seeing that fusion and sings a song. But
Yeah.
this episode is really not about Stephen.
Yes,
it's
yeah,
about
it's definitely
their
definitely
relationship.
Pearl and Amethyst centric.
I think Steven works really well in this episode for that being that character. Like he's kind of the audience surrogate where he's like totally out of the loop. But he's also given opportunities to be funny. And I don't think he's really annoying in this episode.
No, I
Like
don't think he's annoying at all.
we just had Sporktown heroine on the last episode,
Oh,
and she was saying how she found like she forgot how much early Steven is just like so annoying, and the voice is like really grating. And I kind of had that reaction too, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's definitely moments where Steven's childishness, like really childishness, sorry, really stands out. But yeah, this episode, I mean, his role in it was basically just to act as a catalyst for the action that happens, whether it's goading them into finally fusing, and then literally by him being in danger, have them come together. He didn't actually perform any action to get it to happen, but that was they did it perfectly.
Yeah, and like not to say anything about the song. The song is like probably one of the most like contagious earworms ever.
Oh my god!
Like if I just think about it,
I sing it twice a day. At least.
All I wanna do.
It's weird though that's Stephen didn't bring his ukulele for this episode, even though it was an ukulele song. He had it like in Serious Stephen.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I'm surprised they didn't have him come with it for some reason. Like,
he easily could have done that, but I don't know.
Yeah, that is a great point. I mean, I guess they just wanted to have him have the action of climbing the mountain. I guess. Who's to say?
Yeah. Often complicated.
Yeah. But yeah, so to sum up the plot in like 2 seconds, Stephen, Amethyst, and Pearl were outside. They wind up explaining fusion to him after they were complaining to each other. He gets amazed. He wants to see their fusion. And then Garnet's like, hey, we need to get these 2 beetles, which, once again, we see these beetles turn into gems. Like...
Yeah.
But why did they have... have a house and a tower.
Yeah, I was really confused by that. I like forgot all about that little detail because in future we see the heaven and earth beetles are like cute little anthropomorphized beetle people that just like hang out together. And in this episode they're like, I guess this is supposed to be maybe they're corrupted, so they're just like actual beetles.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
As I understand it, they are just gems that lived on Earth during the time where it was home of gems, of homeworld gems, and they just lived there and had a house there, and then they got corrupted. As far as I see,
like, and so that house was just like their house from before / during the war. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
With their little baby beetle bongos.
Baby beetle bongos.
I mean, they're as tiny as gems, so that makes sense. By the way, I looked it up. We don't know what gemstones they are. They're just the heaven beetle and the earth beetle. And even later, they only call them beetle, even though they aren't beetles anymore. There's some weird confusions with the gem lore in this episode, especially regarding the bird monster.
Yeah, that's another thing that early Steven kind of drops is you'll see a lot of these monsters, these one-off monsters that they don't really fall into like the categories that we understand. Like they're not like gems or corrupted gems. They're just kind of weird parasites and monster creatures that hang out around gem structures.
Yeah. And they never address it. Because I mean, like, it's not like they bubbled the bird. They
didn't.
No.
Destroyed it.
Okay, the bird is a weirdo because the bird has gems in its stomach, in the wall, like in little bubbles, like the temple bubbles in the stomach. And when Opal pulls Steven out of the bird and the bird kind of dissolves, the gems don't come out or don't fall out or anything. But instead what falls out are like weird, like white gems that have a little long shape, and it's like 20 of them. And they all turn into these little birds. But the little birds also don't have gems. I mean, what I've read is that it's probably a gem, corrupted fusion or something. It's a big fusion that got corrupted in some way. But it's still weird that they didn't bubble them afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. Maybe it was like an early version of the, shard... shard testing,
the force fusions.
Yeah, the force fusions. I mean, there's definitely a lot of potential avenues from it, but I always wonder. I mean, these early episodes just do not give you answers for this kind of stuff.
I mean,
and it's kind of fun because it creates like a mysticism in like the environment, especially how like fantastical some of the settings are, like in this episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, exactly. That's what they're going for, these early episodes, the fantastic, which is kind of interesting. I think that's why the shift into more lore and science-based was so interesting, because it really set it up early on to be this fantastical aspect, and then when you get the big reveal that these were all gems, and then we start learning about Homeworld and their technology and things like that. It was very much a more distinct tonal shift, which I do enjoy. But it does kind of leave some questions for these early episodes, but that's kind of half the fun, like you said.
Yeah, just kind of going back to the summary. So yeah, they end up going on their little adventure. Yeah, Garnet, like, this is another thing. Like, Garnet says, like, I'm the only one that can swim through lava. But it also kind of feels like she is, like, ushering them all towards the same path so that Steven can do a thing and Steven can see fusion. And it kind of does make sense from, like, a parental standpoint. When you want to introduce, like, new ideas to your children, you can't just, like, give it to them, like, full force. Sometimes you need to, like, prime them. And I think that this episode kind of serves as a primer from just like imagine how weird it would be for Steven to not understand what fusion is, but for Garnet to defuse.
Yeah. I mean, geez, let's talk about trauma in his best.
That happened in the Baby Steven episode, like four gems and a baby or something, where they unfused and Baby Steven cried. Because it was so horrible that his parent just split in half. And
Yeah,
imagine that happening to you. Imagine just your mom splits into two tiny people.
And she's like, yeah, two tiny people with distinct different personalities too. It's like, are you my mom? Yeah, I mean,
But so, oh yeah, sorry.
I was just going off of what you were saying. Garnet in this episode was great for that reason because it was twofold too. I mean, it was A, to allow Steven to grow, but B, have Amethyst and Pearl become closer together as a result. You know, I mean, she was really kind of forcing them to all get together and have Steven act as that. I mean, she said it, make sure you maintain the harmony. So I think it's just a very good leader position to use Steven in a way that lets him grow and also keeps the rest of the team cohesive.
Yeah, perfectly stated.
Was there really any urgency to go to the Beatles at the same time? Like, couldn't they just went to the Earth Beetle and then to the Heaven Beetle as the whole team?
That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, there really wasn't a particular time constraint, so they should technically have been able to, no problem.
It doesn't feel like there's one, but maybe, this is just me spitballing, maybe Garnet was kind of aware that there was a threat like the bird that was going towards it, so she needed to act, they needed to act simultaneously. Yeah. Because we do see, if they hadn't gotten there, if they just hadn't gotten there, the bird would have just eaten the gem, and the beetle probably would have just been, assimilated, or, because we see, all the gems inside the bird are, in, sacks, and, kind of bubble sacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
that's
a weird,
true.
Weird creature.
And, I mean, there was, swords and human stuff in there, which implies that there's been human interactions with this bird. So, I mean, I
guess
guess
just raids villages down the mountain sometimes. It's like a popular myth in these mountains.
Yeah, but it's
so cool. That's such a great idea.
It's so interesting though, because again, this is a clearly, I would assume that many would have tried to ascend the mountain and explore it just because natural human curiosity.
You'd think that. You'd think that humans would explore gem ruins, but we don't really see that in Steven
Never
Universe.
see it, and it drives me crazy.
I mean, at least this one is floating in the air, and
that's true.
Yeah, maybe this is just a barrier to entry, but it drives me insane because this would be the coolest shit. I know I would immediately go explore all the gem stuff. I mean, we see the one explorer. What's his face? The first mate.
He's played by Jamie, right?
Yeah.
They kind of
they have
Jamie as him. I forget what that episode is about though.
Yeah, it's just him exploring all the different interesting places on Earth that all happen to be from gems, but I don't remember enough about it. We'll get to that episode, but clearly one person did.
At least one human.
Just drives me crazy. It'll never not drive me crazy.
But yeah, so going forward, they end up getting eaten, or Steven gets eaten by the bird, and Steven Jr. also gets eaten by the bird.
Oh, Steven Jr., my man.
Yeah, I love Steven Jr.
He's the GOAT.
I've listened to this song a lot, and my version of the song was just a download from YouTube. So every time after the last note, after the last piece of the song, it goes meh. So whenever I sing it, I just have to have the meh in my head, and it will stay there forever.
It's part of the song.
Yeah, totally. There's a scene where they attempt to fuse because they're in danger with Steven still there, and they can't because they aren't in sync. They're not in harmony yet. And I love that Amethyst does the stanky leg, I think.
Yes, she does do the stanky leg, and it's incredible.
I just it's so funny. Yeah, Pearl. I love Pearl so much, and this is a really good Pearl episode. But she's got to be down with Amethyst dance moves.
Got to be down with the flow.
It's kind of her problem.
Well, it's interesting too how much easier fusion becomes for them later on. I mean, Steven with anybody, he can literally just touch them by the end and fuse instantly. Whereas before, they always had to do the big dance prime up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
they have more unresolved problems and stuff, I think. Like,
Yeah.
which is, it's just an interesting way to show that, like, as the series develops, they all kind of become more in harmony with each other and understand everyone better. Because I mean, geez, like the last episode when Steven's falling and like can just fuse with the stones themselves, you know?
Oh my god, I love that scene so much. That was like such an incredible moment.
I know, because
in the finale.
So okay, let's throw every fusion you were wondering about together at once.
Well, okay, I like on Instagram I saw like a table once that had like little circles of all the crystal gems and all the fusions we've seen of them before, and there's still like 16 possibilities we haven't seen yet. So because
I guess when you go for
we've never seen Ruby
fusions.
and Amethyst fuse, for example, something like that.
That would be so cool, and especially adding in like Peridot and Lapis. There really is not any excuse why we didn't get those characters into like fun fusion combinations.
Yeah, Peridot and Lapis definitely would have been a clear candidate for the obvious fusions. I mean, geez.
Yeah, it would have. I'm sure a lot of shippers online would have been very happy about that too.
Oh yeah.
And Peridot and Garnet, they had like a whole fusion tease scene.
Yeah, they did. I forgot about that.
I really was expecting that to actually come to fruition.
It's kind of funny that Peridot just has not done any type of fusion.
Yeah.
But no, going back to this episode when Steven's singing the song too, I like that there's a little tease about him being a giant woman, because like if it were me, I'd really want to be a giant woman.
Yes.
Like you don't even know, Steven. You were going to change the game, my friend.
Yeah, and I think Garnet even says at the end, her line is like, "You'll make a great fusion someday." And it's just like, I know about Stevani. I get that reference.
Garnet knows too about Stevani, probably.
Yeah, well, yeah, it depends
That's
on
true.
how far in the future she looks, but Stevani happens pretty quickly in, right?
I don't remember.
It's episode 37 or something like that.
Wow, really?
Oh,
so soon?
Yeah. That's pretty early. I know because that's the last one that I've watched in my rewatch.
Yeah, so
I'm so excited because that's like as I said before, like fusion is like my favorite thing in Steven Universe, and it just gets me so excited thinking about like the possibilities. And I love like one thing that they do in this that could have easily just been done a different way is I like that they get different voice actors for every fusion.
Yes.
Because it really makes them feel like their own character.
Yeah, exactly. They could have easily just layered the voices on top of each other, which would have been like, cliche.
Kind of awkward sounding.
Yeah. But having it, because, I mean, that's how they treat fusion. It's not a combination of the two of them. It's an entirely new being, But so I agree. I think having a new voice actor really helps to kind of push that through.
Yeah, and that whole scene with Opal at the end of this episode is so epic. Like, not to like use a term that's really overused, but the way that they handle like her size, it makes it feel like she feels really big. Like just the way that it's drawn, and all of her movements are super cool, and she doesn't really feel like any character we've seen before.
Very long limbs,
I don't know.
so many limbs that move so elegantly. Yeah. Looks like a big dancing spider or something.
Yeah, I was actually watching a speed paint of an artist doing is actually Muppet. What's her name from Undertale? He was doing he's doing a drawing of her, and he was commenting on how hard it is to draw characters that have more than two arms, or like to have more of like two sets of arms, because like you have to be conscious of where it would move. And yeah, like Opal has such elegance when she moves around. It's really a testament to the animators.
Yeah, no, I mean that the whole ending scene, like, with her battling the bird, is just from beginning to end just gorgeous. I mean, yeah, you see this, especially when you consider the context of like right before this, the two of them were like just failing and arguing, and then all of a sudden this elegant new person comes out and just instantly destroys this bird. And meanwhile, it's like they have like such a stoic attitude at first. Oh, it's just I love Opal is my favorite of the fusions personally.
Really? I think that's interesting. She's really high up for me. And it's just like, I just wish we saw more of Opal.
Same. But that's kind of why I like her, too, because we didn't get to see her that often. But I just love, like, the elegance of her. And then, I mean, yeah, when she was telling Steven that she knows who he is and, like, singing the song, it was just... It's just, like, matronly and, like, just this awesome warrior woman. I don't know. It's just... I love her.
Yeah, I think they do a really good job at combining, like, if you want to say, like, Amethyst has, like, a lot of energy and power, where Pearl has a lot of elegance. Also, like, Amethyst's irresponsibility, too. Like, and we kind of see that. So, like, she's able to save Steven, but then she totally forgets about the mission goal.
Yeah.
And like, just takes Steven back, thinking that they won, because, like, Amethyst is very, like, single-minded. I think it's really cool how they have written the fusion characters, and... it's just something I love to, like, pay attention to whenever we see new ones, or whenever, like, it's even more fun in reverse with Garnet.
Yeah.
To see how Ruby and Sapphire both act, like, separately when they're not together. It's really fun.
Absolutely.
I do have to say, though, when the fusions get bigger and become more and more characters, they kind of lose this being their own character. When you look to Alexandrite, for example, she's really just all of them combined. And even when she speaks, you hear their voices. Like,
yeah.
So I guess I guess it's more complicated to mesh too many different personalities together, and it's why they did that. Also, like, Obsidian is just a big monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a big kaiju, basically.
No, you're absolutely right, though. Anything past two of the gems, yeah, maybe like, I mean, because
with
Garnet and Steven, I forget the name of it, but Sunstone, yeah. That I guess that I never really
love Sunstone.
I love Sunstone, but I don't really see, like, the amalgamation of Steven and Garnet in it that much.
I see it as, like, it's Steven's, like, optimism and bombast with Garnet's like, authority and responsibility, because Sunstone's whole thing is, like, basically a what's the word for it? Like an after-school special sort of character.
PSA.
Like, PSA character. Like, follow the rules, but it's, I don't know. I think they did a good job with
breaking. I think the 4-4 breaking comes from Sapphire's future vision, and the fire from, like, Ruby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I guess you guys
not
are
my favorite
right.
fusion. It looks kind of weird.
Yeah.
Too big on.
Yeah, I feel like Sunstone's pretty unliked, but I think it's just a really fun design.
Yeah. But I do love... Opal is the one true fusion in my mind. Kidding.
It just works so well. I think Opal's design is so good. Like, there's not much, like, interesting things I can say in this.
I know.
Other than, like, I like this a lot.
I feel the same way. I'm like, well, let me find the proper words to describe. But no, I love the way she looks. I love the attitude, and I love the fact, because Pearl and Amethyst are really very much opposites in this show, so having them fuse into a perfect combination of the both of them is just so interesting in my mind. Like
yeah.
Garnet and Amethyst, like, I get, and Garnet and Pearl, I get, but I don't know, because no two characters are farther apart than Pearl and Amethyst, so it's really interesting to see them unite, and I like that that's why it's so rare, too, because they're not normally in harmony.
It takes a lot for them to actually do it and fuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if I really said it already, but I remember, like, when this episode came out, I think at that point I was watching it weekly. Yeah, I must have been. Because I remember, like, going on message boards and, like, going on Co and seeing people, like, talking about this and, like, how it just felt like such a big thing, because at the time, like, Adventure Time was coming out, and Adventure Time was starting to do a lot of really weird, like, fourth wall things. It was really pushing the boundaries a lot for what cartoons did at the time.
Yeah.
But then Steven having this element, I just remember everyone being so excited, like, oh my god, what characters are we going to see form together, and, like, how much of an effect is this going to have on the plot?
Definitely. Yeah, it really let Steven Universe stand out as its own thing. Like, this was Steven Universe's thing for quite some time.
Yeah.
I also see a Sugarlight only a few episodes later. It's pretty soon.
Oh really? I was trying to remember that.
Yeah,
because that's a Garnet and Amethyst, right?
Yeah, it's the Coach Steven episode. Is it called that? I'm not sure.
Yep. How many episodes?
Voiced by Nicki Minaj.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Sugalite is voiced by Nicki Minaj.
For real?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. Really?
I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure Nicki Minaj voices Sugalite, and that's why like in almost all of her other appearances, Sugalite does not speak because they just, I guess, it would be too much of an effort to schedule with Nicki Minaj.
Huh. I did not know that at all. That is hilarious.
I mean, Opal 2 has only like 3 lines in the entire show.
Yeah.
And I guess a song in the movie. Half a song.
Oh my god, that's like such a great moment. Like I love the Steven Universe movie so much, and that song is like incredible. But also having Opal, that scene when Opal formed, I was just like, they're fucking doing it. Like, this is it. Like, I'm here. Just no words could express my excitement.
I know. Because it's such a rare treat.
Yeah. Oh, I love that song so much. I love, like, the whole soundtrack of the movie. I can't wait. I keep saying this, but I can't wait to talk about the movie on this podcast.
The movie's going to be
just
great
so good.
to
like
discuss.
500 episodes down the line.
Yep. 2025, baby.
Old and moldy.
Yeah, Coach Steven is the 20th episode, so that's coming up real fast.
Damn. Hell yeah, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I love Steven Universe, and I love talking about it.
As do I. I really, really do. Fusion was the best part of Steven Universe for me, just because of...
It's very unique.
Yeah, it's unique, and just the thinking behind it. Like, I just... It's fun to imagine, like... your consciousness just kind of getting blended. And I love how...
And it's also, like, this is kind of, like, one of the big moments that's, like, you should be able to figure out that Garnet's a fusion now, because when we see Opal fuse, we see both of their gems, like, are still elements of the design. So this is something that, like, I think I might have seen, like, some posts of predicting it, but I remember, like, getting to that episode where Garnet gets defused for the first time, and, like, it was a pretty good reveal, I think. Like, a pretty good, like... Because just, I think they show, like, Ruby first, and you're like, hey, this kind of looks like Garnet. Yeah. And then they show, what's it called? Sapphire.
Yeah.
And then once they actually fuse, you're just like, oh, it's, I don't know.
They did it in such a great way, yeah.
There are tons of tiny teasers if you know it. Like their gems, like the crystals on the door lighting up. Or even in the episode Gem Cuisine, is it, I think, where they form Alexandrite and they unfuse because they can't harmonize. You see, like, the shape of Ruby and Sapphire, like, falling to the ground and then fusing together as Garnet in, like, half a second.
I'll need to pay attention to that, because I didn't notice that on first watch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna totally freak out when I see that. I'm gonna clap at the screen.
Like, ah!
You have to pause. You have to pause in the right second. It's really, really, really short. I love the art in this episode, like all of it. The character art. I only have rewatched this episode and the others like a few weeks ago, but I feel like this one is kind of a leap. This is even better than anything before, especially in expressions and.
I definitely agree with you. I think that I kind of noticed that too. I was like, wow, the quality of the animation seems to really be shining through on this one. Especially, we've talked about how Pearl in these early episodes is just a hot mess.
Yeah, but Pearl looks great in this.
Yeah, Pearl looks fine in this one.
Almost like in the later seasons of the movie. She has a very similar face now. Her eyes are bigger and more expressive and less freaky.
Yes.
The gem placement is actually done right. Because the one thing that, like, throws off her design so much is when they just put, like, the big pearl, like, right on her forehead and it's not, like, offset with her skull. That just always gets me.
Yeah. And yeah, the facial animations were great too. I mean, the whole animation sequence during the song was just really well done, A, and B, really funny. But like when you see Pearl give a little snicker when the dirt falls on Amethyst, and
Mm-hmm.
and just
Amethyst turns
watching
into
the
a fucking
faces.
shark.
Yeah, I love
A
that.
shark in a tiny river.
Every time I see that, I'm fooled for 1 second, and then I notice like the big amethyst gem, and I've watched the fucking like, what's it called song so many times on YouTube, the Giant Woman song so many times, and every time I see that, I'm always like, oh yeah, amethyst turns into a shark at the scene.
It actually, I forgot about it completely, so I was like, huh, oh. It done did get me.
I haven't,
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the map of the Steven Universe world yet, but I'm pretty sure that this structure is in Japan, because, like, I mean, the whole art style of the background looks kind of like old Japanese illustrations, the way they draw like the mountains and trees.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
also, I looked it up, and the Heaven and the Earth beetle, they felt familiar, and they're rhinoceros beetles, and they're not just rhinoceros beetles, but they are Japanese rhinoceros beetles
Ah,
Oh.
specifically. Only they have that specific horn shape that has that little fork at the end.
Yeah.
And
huh.
apparently, these Japanese rhinoceros beetles are like a big thing in Japanese pop culture. There's a bunch of Kamen Riders named after them, and you have Heracross from Pokemon, and
Yes.
Is it like Kabuto? Is that the, or am I crazy?
Wait,
I,
for
I'm not
Pokemon?
sure.
No, the name, because I know that there's like,
Oh,
yeah, that's as like there's so many like references to it. Maybe
I don't
I'm
remember the Japanese name of the beetle. Uh, yeah, it's Kabutomushi. Yeah, that's it.
okay, because I in my head I always think of in One Punch Man he fights Carnage Kabuto, who is like a big beetle man,
True.
Yeah, that's the same beetle
and
with
that
the horn.
yeah, no, all the connections make sense. Wow, that's such a great little detail.
Yeah.
And the one thing that made me think of like the structure, like the little like I don't even call it like the hallway that sort of is goes around the mountain, to me looks very Asian inspired.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like
I mean,
so,
a
but
lot
that's
of
crazy. They
also
put
the
so much
tiny
detail in there.
panels. Um,
Yeah.
these beetles are apparently like very commonly used as pets by Japanese kids, and
They're so
also
cool.
for gambling. Like they
Huh?
do like little beetle fights with them, because they
Are
have
you
horns.
serious?
The male beetles have these horns to fight and push each other away, and so they put them on a log or something, and everyone has a beetle, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna give you 50,000 yen if my beetle pushes yours down. And that's apparently very a common thing in certain regions of Japan.
That's really funny.
Beetles are cool.
Yeah,
I'm a
seriously.
really big JoJo fan, and in the current like part of JoJo, there is an entire fight, quote unquote fight, that is two characters, each betting basically on a beetle to win a fight. So they literally do that. They have two beetles that fight each other, and of course, because it's JoJo, they're using all their superpowers and stands to like influence the outcome. It's great.
That makes so much sense. Also, I love
Wow.
the tiny background of the Heaven Gems room. It's just
Yes.
Stephen looks into it, and it's like this whole like messy, cool room with all this stuff. She has like a little game console and books and like bongos and,
Baby
and
beetle
everything.
bongos, man.
Yeah, it's great. I imagine very tiny bongos, because if bongos are very tiny, you can barely hear them. It's like about
Yeah, that's a
the
great point. What is the
big
point of the
membrane,
bongo?
but they just do like a. That's all.
Now I want to see a beetle play bongos with his big horn.
Let's see, gambling big-horned bongo beetle. I also just like when Steven officially is talking to Opal at the end. Just going back on that for a second, like the sunset and the pink sky, it's just so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Opus
Steven does a
gem
great job with
too.
colors.
Just the gem.
Sorry, was that?
The Opus gem shines in so many colors. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And yeah, Steven does
Yeah.
do a great job with their pastel shades, especially.
I've been rewatching Adventure Time lately and like just plowing through it and really loving it. Like Adventure Time is really good, but I don't remember what episode Rebecca Sugar jumps on, but she's in there from like I think season 1, And there's a lot of episodes that have like gems and like gem guardians or things like that, which I think is really funny. And there's actually one episode where one of the characters gets like transported to like a gem dimension or something, and she actually says like something about getting her crystal men to attack the main characters.
Oh, come on!
So I'm gonna find that clip and I'm gonna try and do something fun with it.
It's gonna be vengeful.
Face swap us on the crystals.
My favorite little detail of the episode is when they arrive back at the temple. And Garnet's just there, like rubbing her hair, like with a towel.
Like the towel's gonna get the lava out.
And it's smoking. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I love how Garnet's just, Steven technically did save the day actually in this one. I mean, he was the one who grabbed the beetle, but I love how Garnet was like, "Great work, Steven." Just, it was all Steven.
It's great.
Just wonderful.
I love Steven Universe.
Me too.
Dude,
it's so
same.
good. But this was...
All right. Do we have anything else to say? I'm gonna be honest, Tom. I know forever ago we were keeping track of characters crying and hugging, but I have not been paying attention to that, so I think we're gonna officially cancel that segment here.
I think that's a good idea because
I'm gonna say there's no cry in this episode. I'm pretty sure, and there's also no. I mean, there's no direct hug, but there's a thing where Stephen
grabs
puts his arms around both of them and pulls them together.
Ding dang, and it needs to be reciprocated.
But,
to be hug action.
Yeah. I mean that Stephen is crying every episode is just not true. It's just some weird Mandela effect, I think.
Yeah, I totally tricked myself into thinking that. Like I really thought that Steven cried in every episode, but
it's the first one. It's just the first one, really. That's the big cry episode because what he cries about is so unimportant. The ice cream that feels annoying, kind of. And and I think that colors the perception of a lot of the early episodes.
But, I am surprised too. I thought there was more hugging. What? The hugging's gonna come. I know it. Yeah. I know it.
The day
in my heart of hearts. Yeah, but no, I don't have anything else to say. I just love this episode is all.
Nah, it's so great. Same. 10 out of 10.
Gotta rewatch it 3 more times tonight.
Same.
At least the last 2 minutes of it. But yeah, I give it one giant woman out of 5.
Wait, only one?
Only one. Has to earn the other giant women.
All right, so I think we can wrap this up. Thank you again, NeverPaint, for joining us.
Yes, absolute pleasure.
Pleasure.
Would you like to plug anything else here? Sorry.
Just look at my art when I'm gonna post art again, because I went through some hand pain recently, but I'm start drawing again. And yeah, look at my art. I'm gonna draw cool things. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
At NeverPaint on Twitter, NeverPaint Arts on Instagram. If you like to
check the description, because I will have all the relevant links there.
Hell yeah.
I would like to thank all our listeners for hanging around with us.
I'm one of
you. Can find. You can find us on Twitter. We're on pretty much every podcasting app or resource. We're on YouTube, Spotify. I always start to say Instagram, and I'm like, wait, Instagram's not a podcasting place.
Gotta post it second by second, man.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, we should start doing that.
Spread our wings.
Make sure that you follow us, subscribe to us, do whatever the little button that appears there. It really helps us out. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think with that, bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah, goodbye. We love you.